Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Today is the last Friday of 2011.
Hallelujah.
And if you're sleeping in the home today, you're going to miss the presence of the Lord, that He's going to shower in our midst this morning. The Lord is a good God. The Lord is a great God. The Lord is an absolutely wonderful, powerful, great, and glorious Master. Do you believe that?
Amen.
I was just enjoying that little PowerPoint slide that was put up which says attitude of gratitude. You know, it's the end of another year, and every morning when I wake up from my sleep, I just thank the Lord for being so kind to me and thank Him for the day ahead. Because I know that Jesus and me together, we're going to make it through. Do you believe that?
Amen.
Amen.
If you're standing alone and if you don't have Jesus, you can be quite unsure if you're going to make it through. Because you're depending on circumstances, you're depending on situations to go in your direction. You're going on everything to work in your favor. You're going depending on man. But if we wake up every morning knowing fully well whom we worship, and if our dependence is on Him, we will never fail.
Amen.
Remember, I said we could fall. I didn't say we will never fall. I said we would never fail.
Yes.
God is faithful.
Amen.
Throughout this year, I have seen His goodness. I have seen His mercy. Throughout this year, over and over again, I have seen His grace abound over my life. Remember, I didn't say throughout the year everything went well. That's not what I said. I said throughout the year, His presence abounded, His glory abounded, His goodness abounded, His mercy abounded, His favor was growing, His presence surrounded, everything worked together for us because we love the Lord and we call in accordance to His purpose. Do you believe that?
Amen.
I know that. So important, that we can confidently say, I know whom I believe. Like Paul said, I know whom I believe. If you're sitting in our midst this morning and you don't know Him whom I'm talking about, today is your opportunity to know Him. His name is Jesus. I'm not talking about any man in authority who walks the earth, for every man who walks the earth is but just a heartbeat away from another life. For He who holds our life sits in the heavens above. No man can ever build a room for Him, for He's way above everything else. I remember growing up struggling with the idea where God came from. Thinking, okay, who gave birth to God? How come I came from somewhere? How come He didn't come from somewhere? I remember struggling with that for quite a while. Struggling with so many questions in my mind that no one had the answers for. The most practical ones that everyone asks for. Doesn't quite understand. I remember one point of time just telling Him, it's okay, Lord. As long as I know You, I will eventually find out the answers. And if I don't find them while I walk the earth, one day when You and I stand face to face, I have all these million questions to ask You that I believe You'll give me the answers for. And when I thought back again, I just thought, you know what, actually when I stand in front of Him, I really don't care whether I have the answers or not. His presence is just going to be so awesome. I'm going to forget every kind of question that I ever had. Because He's all-compassing love and goodness will surround me. He has made promises to us, things that He said He will do. He will do. And if you haven't seen it happen in your life yet, you know what? 2012 is our time. We'll see it happen.
Amen.
I don't know if you believe it, but I'm going to have an awesome year in 2012.
Amen.
Amen.
Everything we declare and everything we decree as His servants comes to pass.
Yes.
As long as we know His word, then we know what to decree. And we decree correctly. We don't go by our feelings, we don't go by emotions, we don't go by circumstances. We go by what His word tells us He will do, because He will do it. I remember reading a story of a young boy. An earthquake hit the city, and he was knocked under the debris of his building where he lived, and he was separated from his family, and he was all alone. Lying on the debris for 2-3 days, all alone. No one found him. Eventually, after 2 or 3 days, they found him. And you know what happens when you find a hero like that. Every reporter wants to know what happened for 2 to 3 days alone. And they asked him, weren't you afraid? 2 to 3 days went by. Don't you think maybe nobody would come to get you? Do you think that maybe you just die without anybody finding you? He said something interesting that I never forgot. He said, no, I was fearful now and then. But I knew one thing in my mind. My daddy always told me that no matter where I was, he would never quit till he found me. When I lay down for 2 to 3 days alone, I knew that my daddy would find me. Very much like this young boy who was so confident that his father would not rest till he found him. The one we worship also will never rest till he blesses us.
Amen, amen.
Amen.
He will go down to the deepest pits. He will reach the highest mountains. Nothing is too high, nothing is too deep, nothing is too low for him. He will reach anywhere to bless you and to bless me. It just depends on whether I know my Heavenly Father. That's the question. Many people say, like Isaiah said, the Lord has forsaken me. Many people say, the Lord has forsaken me, the Lord has forgotten me. That's recorded in the book of Isaiah 49, verse 14. The Lord has forsaken me and my Lord has forgotten me. You can put up that scripture, Olivia. The Lord tells us in Isaiah, just the next verse, 49, verse 15 and 16, they may forget you, yet I will not forget you. I have graven thee upon the palms of my hand.
Amen.
Don't take that lightly. Don't think, okay, I know that. Because when you're in the deepest pit and the lowest valley, and it looks so dark that nobody else can help you, remember what he said. People may forget you, but I have engraved you on the palm of my hand. I will not forget you.
Amen.
When we look at the newspapers every morning, we just see bad news. Most often I've even given up scanning through the newspaper. I just see facts that I already know in my mind. Yesterday 200 died, today it will be 100, tomorrow it will be 400. Nothing new. It's all about who's dying, who's taking over, which war is going to hit us. I'm not saying don't read newspapers, it's nice to know what happens in the world. But at the same time, people think, oh God, the war is going to come upon us. I hear people say, there comes the start of another World War, 2012 means the end of the world, blah, 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 blah. Recession is taking over. It's going to hit us. What's going to happen to my job? How am I going to get my food? What's going to happen to my sustenance? All the powers, world leaders are trying to take over. Who's going to make it? Who's going to get to the top? The truth is one thing, church. Your destiny and my destiny, your future and my future is not in the hands of any economist. It's not in the hands of any journalist. It's not in the hands of my doctor, my lawyer. It's not in anybody's hands. Your destiny and my destiny and our future is in the hands of the one who knows how to keep it secure. He holds you and me in the hollow of his hand.
Amen.
And remember, no one can get there and snatch you nor me out.
Amen.
It doesn't happen. He doesn't, very often I tell people, he doesn't just fall off to sleep at the wrong times and forget that I'm around, that he needs to look after me. It never happens. I may be in the middle of somewhere with my 2 little sons and I may get exhausted and I may fall off to sleep and forget that they need to be protected by me. But the one I worship never forgets. He doesn't slumber, he does not sleep. The one who watches over Israel watches over you and watches over me. That's our hope, that's our joy, that's our strength, that's our salvation in the middle of the night. When I say middle of the night, I'm not talking about middle of night when you sleep. I'm talking middle of darkest days. I don't know if you've ever had them. But there are times that I didn't feel like I was on the ground. I felt like I was way underneath. You're going to say, well, I didn't notice. Yeah, you didn't notice. But he knows. God knows everything. It's amazing. Is it ever possible you're going to say that somebody who knows Jesus, we're spirit-filled, we win battles for Him, we fight on our knees, we experience salvation, victory, healing, wholeness. Is it possible ever to be down and out? Of course it is. It reminds you and me that you and I are just mere mortals with a heartbeat. And you know what? Bad news. No one's got an energizer battery to get my heart up when it stops beating. It stops beating the day the Lord decides, and no one can change that destiny. So you and I are in the hands of the right person.
Amen.
Very often I wonder what I would do if I didn't know Jesus. What would life be like? I praise the Lord that I got saved at the age of 16. Otherwise, trust me, the older you become, the more cynical you become, the more you think you know. And hence, very often, you may not understand the saving grace of Jesus, but at the age of 16, so easy. Just to say, I accept Jesus as Lord. Take over. No one had to convince me to get baptized. I was just told from scripture that something you do. I just did it. I didn't say why should I do it? You know, all these things that you talk about when you reach 21 and you think you've all grown up. You know everything. Now mom and dad has to listen to me. Right? It was easy. I thank God for that. For His goodness. I know that the New Testament gives us awesome promises. Very often people tell me, oh, that's in the Old Testament. I'm thinking, hold on a minute, when did you learn to decipher the difference in the two? It's just one book. The Old and the New belongs to one book. It's the same author. It's the same finisher of our faith.
Hallelujah.
Who inspired both books. You don't decide that the Old Testament is not for you and just the new one. People so loosely say, oh, that was different. You know, now we live in a phase of grace. I'm thinking, you have not figured out what is the meaning of grace. It's unmerited favor, whether you lived in the days of old or the days of new. You and I are so blessed that we have the Holy Spirit of God to depend on. It teaches us all things. They did not. They depended on a prophet. They went searching when they wanted answers for a prophet. You and I are so blessed. All we need is to talk to Jesus. All we need to do is speak the Spirit of the living God who lives inside each one of our lives, if we allow Him. I know that the Lord will never push us beyond what we can take. I know that the Lord wants to bless us with rest on all sides. I'm not saying no, I'm not saying He's evil at all. But I'm saying there are times when you're at your deepest, lowest point. God still allows testing times sometimes, church. If you look at the book of 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 12, it says, Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trials which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. Every prophet, when I look to the book of old, has predicted that you and me as saints will go through fiery times, difficult times. If you look at Jeremiah 9:7, Jeremiah said, God shall melt them and try them. If you look at the book of Daniel, chapter 11, verse 35, it says, And some of them of understanding will fall, to try them and not to purge them, and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. Zechariah spoke and prophesied in chapter 13, verse 9, to refine them as silver is refined and as gold is tried. Now, in case you say, hold on a minute, Arlene, that's again all Old Testament scriptures. Well, Paul wasn't far behind and Peter wasn't saying anything different. If you look at the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 8, Paul said we are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. We are persecuted, but not forsaken. We are struck down, but not destroyed. Through all the difficult times of victory, everything that Paul talked about, there was a little victory statement at the end through all the difficult times, right? What does he say? I'm hard pressed, but I'm not crushed. Come on, I'm perplexed, but I'm not in despair. I'm persecuted, but I'm not forsaken. I'm struck down, but hey, listen, I'm not given up. I'm not done yet. I'm not destroyed. So even in New Testament times that you and I live in today, I believe that books will be written about us.
Amen.
You're going to say, nah. I'm saying yes. If you think you're a history changer, then books will be written about you. If you're playing geography in God's kingdom, no one's going to notice you beyond a point, trust me. Every single man who wrote this book, inspired by the Spirit of the living God, was a history maker.
Amen.
They didn't play geography. You know what's geography? You jump from one place, you jump to the other place. You jump from one doctrine, jump to another doctrine, jump from one church, go to another. Just all over the place, man. You're just never going to make it. That's not exciting to the Lord. That's why the Bible tells us to bloom where we are planted. There's something awesome about being blooming where you're planted. You know that you don't realize, but the four of them who stood up today, Prince said something interesting before they started. I don't know if you got it. They said we all grew up in the Amazing Grace Church family. They don't know any other church. If things didn't work out here, we don't just jump there. That's not scriptural. Show me where. Which Bible are we all believing that's any different? He said we don't know any other God. It's not like we serve somebody else, woke up one morning, decided we're on the wrong side of the road and decided, hey, let's go spend time with another God now. No. Every single one of us, I believe, will make history.
Amen.
Amen.
Now, it just depends on whether you believe it, because I said it. We will change the course of history.
Amen.
You
Hallelujah.
believe that?
Yes.
I believe that.
I believe that.
I wasn't just born to bear children, be a wife, have a job, earn some money, and die. No way. If that's what I was born for, I'm very disappointed. But no. The more I grow up every day in the Lord, the more I see the purposes that He has for me to fulfill in my generation. We sang that song, we're a dancing generation. Hey, I'm not waiting for my next generation to dance before the Lord. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to wait for the next generation to be called Joshua generation. What? No way. We're a Joshua generation. We're going to take the land. We're going to finish everything the Lord said we will finish. I'm not going to say, because I slept over and I'm tired, so my sons are going to do it. No way. The Lord has a purpose for you and the Lord has a purpose for me to fulfill. That's why His word says, I'm going to train your hands for battle so that your arms will learn to bend above bronze. And He doesn't say men only. Isn't it amazing? It means I'm included. You're included. Everyone who listens to this video worldwide is included. Every child of every age is included. Everyone's on the battlefield every day of our lives. We're never on vacation. Don't fool yourself. No one's on vacation. The devil never goes on vacation. So what makes you think you're on vacation? Even when we go on vacation, we still seek the face of the Lord.
Amen.
We still say, Lord, we can't make it today without you. We don't sleep better than I'm on vacation. I need more time off. That means you don't know your battlefield, or I don't even know whether you're on it. Because our adversary is right on it. Knows exactly where we are at every moment. Isn't it amazing, isn't it? We look at throughout the Word, every single great man and woman of God has talked about trying times, has talked about testing times, has talked about difficult times, has talked about times of sorrow, times of pain, times of terrible loneliness. You know, there are times when you know that you're not sinning. You know you're right in the will of God. Every time something's going wrong in life, it's not because you sinned. Of course, you've got to check your heart and see if there's anything there. If there's not, then you need to know where it's coming from. Right?
Hallelujah.
You may be right in the midst of God's will, right in the center of it, knowing God's word, following Him diligently, doing everything in accordance to His will, living in fear of the Lord. We may be doing everything right. Yet, why do troubles come? Yet why do I feel down and out? Yet why are we ready to give up on the brink of despair? What is that? Is it normal? Is something wrong with us? No. Look, read the book. Every single one, every single man, every single prophet, every single man and woman of God who walked the earth went through difficult times. Times they didn't understand. Times they had no one to look up to. No one to question. Whom to ask? Whom to ask for help? No one. All patriarchs, all prophets went through times like that. You know, James chapter 5 verse 11, James says something very interesting. He says, "Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy." Now, we all know the story of Job, right? We know that this was a righteous man. We know that he feared God. We know that he lived his life right. We know that he made sacrifices just in case his sons messed up. I mean, he was so diligent. Yet, we see that he faced upon a time in his life when everything went downhill for him. He had no one around him to support him. Even his friends are telling him, "Hold on a minute, I think you messed up. That's why all this stuff has happened to you." His wife says, "Well, forget it, curse God and die. Just forget about everything." This guy lost his family, he lost everything, his reputation, his influence, all the good things he enjoyed in life, and worst thing of all, even his body didn't support him. Everything went wrong, completely wrong. Through it all. Just when Job probably, there are many times when you read through the book of Job, you see that he probably thought, okay, now it's going to end. Okay, now I'm coming to the end of it. Okay, now I'm going to see a silver lining there. Okay, now. Every time, it just seemed to get worse off throughout the book of Job when you read. And you think, hold on a minute, what's God up to? What's God doing? Like Job said in chapter 3 verse 23, he said, "Why is light given to a man whose way is hidden, whom God had hedged in?" It was like a dilemma in Job's mind. Total dilemma. Why, God? Why do you give light to a man? Why do you let him know your ways? Why do you show him your goodness, your faithfulness, your mercy? And then why, oh Lord, do I feel so stuck to the wall that I don't see any way out? Have you ever noticed that the biggest troubles and the biggest trials in life happen after a time of great blessing? Have you noticed that? Whenever we go out to minister, one of our greatest thoughts, I think it's one of mine, is that the church is praying. Do you know that? That comforts me. In the midst of everything, I know that the church of Amazing Grace is fasting and praying. That keeps us on track throughout that time. But you know what? Next time we need to try a different strategy. We need to fast and pray after the service is over as well. You know why? Because that's when everything hits us. You may not know. You just need to come on the field with us if you need to know. Everything that ever has to go wrong seems to go wrong when we come back. The body gives way, you start feeling really sick, everything around you starts working against you. That's when you need that prayer support. So, we'll remember that for next year. But the greatest troubles and the greatest trials seem to come at times when we have the greatest blessing ever. Sorry, I don't do very well with this. This is much better. And just when we are about to give up, and just when we are about to give up in despair and say, Lord, some people tell me, difficult times are coming to me after this meeting, so I'm not going to go out on the field. I'm thinking, definitely don't come with me. I don't want someone like that on the field or the battlefield with me. Every time I see the enemy, I'm going to run. God has not called us to do that. God has called us to stand and take our ground, one step at a time. If we actually look back, I've looked at some interesting autobiographies of some very great men and women of God. I love reading autobiographies. I just love them. I just love looking through all the times that people have gone through. I always ask people much older than me, I always ask them one question. What are the things you would do if I gave you another chance to live life? What would you do? How would you do it differently? Tell me. I always ask people, what are the obstacles along the way? What are the most difficult times you ever had? How did that feel? Tell me, how did you overcome it? Talk to me. I love to sit down. I love to listen. Everyone's got a story. Do you know that? Everyone's got a story. That's why it's called history. His story. I was reading something interesting about a great British preacher called C.H. Spurgeon. I don't know if you've heard of it. He actually won multitudes to Christ. Awesome sermons, awesome anointing, awesome things happened when he spoke. The Lord was there. But he suffered, interestingly, he suffered many bouts of melancholy. You know what's melancholy? Depression. Feeling down and out. Feel like giving up. Feel desperate. He often felt like he was nothing in life. He often felt like he's accomplished nothing in life. There were times, he says, that he would go out into his garden, he'd get on his knees and he would just weep before the Lord, lifting up his hands and say, Lord! He didn't quite understand why he was feeling so low down and out. But see, nobody would have known that because all you see is the glory. Every human being goes through times of pain, turmoil, trouble, despair, difficulty. The question at those times is, are we going to give up or are we going to get up? Everyone goes through similar times. For some of us, it's obvious. For some of us, we keep it very private. I'm not saying there's anything harm in sharing them. Of course you should. How will you get people together to pray? David voiced something similar when he was discouraged. I mean, look at the book of Psalms. Read through it. It's all where David's talking before the Lord. Oh Lord this and oh Lord that. But I know. He keeps on encouraging himself in the Lord. And he says something interesting in Psalm 38 verse 17. He says, I am ready to halt and my sorrow is continually before me. I was looking at this word halt. Halt in Hebrew means I'm ready to fall. Means, Lord, I'm ready to give up. I'm on the brink of destruction. I'm ready to fall. Where are you? That was exactly what David was saying. If you look throughout the book of Jeremiah Jeremiah was an interesting prophet. He wasn't called a weeping prophet for nothing. He wasn't weeping out of celibacy like some people say. Jeremiah was not a weeping prophet, weeping in celibacy for himself. Jeremiah was called a weeping prophet because he was a man who wept for the people of the Lord. Because the Lord gave him an impossible task. He said, listen, go speak to these guys, but oh, by the way, they're not going to listen to you, yeah? Why bother sending me? Right? Imagine God tells you, you know, I want you to go and prophesy for those guys, but they're not going to listen to you. But go, do it anyway. That's what Jeremiah was told. It's like having a losing battle before you will begin. It's like the Lord saying, go to war, but you'll lose. As I wouldn't bother going to war. I was just imagining the Lord told me, go say this, as Jeremiah would probably say, listen Lord, he and I would be having this negotiation dialogue happening between him and me. Lord, don't send me, I'm not the right person. I don't like going where I don't win, so please don't send me. Right? But Jeremiah went, it's amazing. Look throughout the book of Jeremiah, and he actually says something awesome, like, I've got fire that's stuck up in my bones and I can't quite say what the Lord wants me to say. I would say, probably forget it. Forget even saying anything. What a useless generation of guys to talk to. Give me somebody better. That would be my dialogue with the Lord. But Jeremiah didn't say that. If you look at the book of Lamentations chapter 3 and you see verse 7 and verse 9, he says, he has hedged me about, that I cannot get out. He has made my chain heavy. He has enclosed my ways with hewn stone. He has made my path crooked. How so simply Jeremiah describes exactly how a child of God would feel. Right in the depths, where you feel like your chains are so heavy, you can't even hold them up any longer. You're going to say, well, how could a prophet of God who knew God feel like that? I hear people saying that. If you're feeling down and out, you must have sinned. That's not true. This book does not tell me that. It tells me that every man and every great woman of God in this book went through trying times. Times of loneliness, despair, sorrow, pain, but never gave up. Every single one of them knew their God. Imagine, Jeremiah was a man where kings would not go into war unless they asked him, okay? I mean, he made 2 kings wait for 10 days, saying, listen, hold on a minute, I have to hear from God, and after I hear, I'll come and tell you what. For 10 days they were waiting, should we go, should we not, should we go, should we not? That was the kind of guy Jeremiah was. And people went with him, and listened to him, and they know that it worked. He was a man who went into his closet, and when he came out of that little hidden closet with the law, he had an answer. And people did exactly what he said. This is the kind of man who then after a point of time goes through the depths of it all and saying, God, what is happening to me? In Lamentations 3, somewhere between 16 and 21, I picked up a few words where Jeremiah says, my hope, my strength is gone. All that is left is misery and affliction. Nothing left but ashes. Do you ever feel like that? I felt like that many times. I felt like I'm down the road where I can't sometimes just see a way out. Where I can't just sometimes see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I say, why God, why, and where God, where, and when God, where? I've asked a million questions. Malachi chapter 3 verse 3 tells us that he shall sit as a refiner and a purifier of silver, and shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. Church, God has not forgotten you. Don't give up. We've come only to the end of another year, not the end of our lives. God's about to turn things around. Don't give up. Someone once said something beautiful. Don't give up on the brink of a miracle. I remember reading a story of an athlete who who's swimming the English Channel. As you know, that's not an easy feat. And she's swimming and it's thick fog. And she's not swimming 100 meters, by the way. And so she's to swim the whole channel. And it's freezing cold, she's exhausted. And there's this little boat that goes with them at the back, right? So if they want to give up, then they get into the boat. It's fine, you can just give up. Try again next time. So she's on and on and on and on for several hours. Reaching, feels like she's going nowhere. It's such thick fog, she can't see the end. She's exhausted. She puts her hand up and they take her into the boat. She gets into the boat. And after a few seconds, you know what she realizes? Just there was the end. That's what we do very often in life. We come into a brink of our miracle and we give up. We say, okay, fine, I give up, take me in the boat. I'll try again tomorrow. You're going to say, okay, fine, so where's the way up? You're telling me all these terrible things. Where's the way up? How do I get out of it? What do I do? In the darkest hour of Jeremiah's life, he discovered the perfect way up, the glorious truth. He already knew God, didn't he? He did. But sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to get in touch with God. Sometimes when we hit rock bottom only, people wake up and remember their Savior. When everything's going well, people just go on fully in life. Very often, right? We forget. Move on. Life is good, everything is fine. You say your 2-minute prayer in the morning, your 5-minute prayer, okay, thank you Lord for the day, out. Right? I've also done that. I also got up with, after the alarm rang, past time, running out of the house. I know how that is. I can't tell you how merciful God is, because if He wasn't, I wouldn't be standing. We walk through life thinking like most of it is dependent on us. Actually, it's not. It's dependent on Him. It's not dependent on us. If it was dependent on us, it would all fail. All around. Again, Jeremiah says something awesome in the book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 22 and 23. God is a God of compassion. His compassions for me cannot fail. They are new every morning. Great is His faithfulness. This is where that song, great is His faithfulness, that hymn is written based on this. Morning by morning I will see the goodness of the Lord and I thank the Lord. Little by little I believe that Jeremiah realized this great truth in spite of all his lamentations. I was reading through Jeremiah 20 and the first several verses is one he's cursing the day he was born, then he's thanking the Lord. It's like a whole emotional tribute to himself. Then he says, oh, but I remember my Lord. Lamentations chapter 3 verse 55 to 59 says, I called upon thy name, O Lord, out of the low dungeon. Thou hast heard my voice. Hide not thine ear at my breathing, at my cry. Thou drewest near in the day that I called upon thee. Thou saidst, fear not. O Lord, thou hast pleaded the cause of my soul. Thou hast redeemed my life. O Lord, thou hast seen my wrong. Judge thou my cause. What is Jeremiah simply saying? Okay, get up, dust up. Thought through this long time, felt like this for a while. Let me dust myself down. Lord, you take care of it. Lord, you sort it out for me. Lord, you make it work for me. I've tried it my way for long enough. Lord, it's not working. There's something that the Lord was reminding me while I was preparing the word. It was to tell my people to be careful of unbelief. When I tell you, when I prophesy over your life that you're going to be a history maker, very few people believe that. You think you're just born to die, right? I believe I was born to live. An abundant life, the Bible tells me I am. Otherwise, why did Jesus come? What a waste of time. What a drama for no purpose. God is just not a God of dramatics. God is real. The problem is very often we don't believe what we hear. We believe what we think we know. Maybe very little, sometimes. You know, God has given us an opportunity to talk to Him about anything. We can tell Him when we're angry, we can tell Him when we're down and out, we can tell Him when everything is going wrong, we can tell Him anything, everything, all the time, right? But there's one thing He won't accept, and that's unbelief. If you look at the book of Numbers 21, verses 4 to 7, this is talking about the Israelites when they walked through the wilderness. And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom, and the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. And the people spake against God and against Moses. Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread. And the Lord did what next in the next verse? What does He do? And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people. And they bit the people. And much people of Israel died. Therefore the people came to Moses and said, We have sinned, or we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that He take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. You know, being in Moses' place is being in any pastor's place. People moan about you, that they come and say, pray for me also. It's amazing. And the Lord teaches you to love the same characters who make life difficult for you. It's amazing. I just told the Lord many times that I really couldn't bother Lord. Let someone else do this. Don't give them to me. Really, I have. I've told the Lord many times. Why? Because it's like bringing up a child from the time he is tender, and he grows up and thinks he knows too much. And he rebels against you. What do you think of such a child? You weep over it, right? Moses felt the same way. He was always weeping over for the people. Lord, please take me, destroy me, keep them. That's what pastors pray. Do you know that? What I tell you is one job where around the world people give up, the number one job that people give up in an instant? Pastors. Yeah. It's a survey that was conducted around the world. The number one job where people give up, even though they get paid, is pastors. Because you're dealing with people, why? Who are generally ungrateful. So Moses was dealing with millions of them. And they were all mourning against him. And all telling him, why you brought us here? Bah, 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 bah. Moses, they're forgetting that Moses is also in the same boat. He's also suffering like them. He also doesn't have water to eat, poor man. He's also tired, he's also exhausted. He's also pulling up his tent every time they're pulling it up. It's not like he's walking in the chariot with the elephant. And they are like, desperate. No. They're all in the same boat. We forget that. You and I as a church, we're in the same boat.
Amen.
The faster we understand, the better we do. We're all in the same boat, moving towards the same destination. Sometimes our hands get tired, rowing, so someone else comes and rows in our place. But we keep the boat afloat at all times. We don't let go, we don't drop it. We don't jump into another boat. So now they are at a point where they actually come to Moses and say, please pray for us. We messed up with God, we messed up with you. They knew, interestingly, how they know that God won't tolerate either of the two. You can't mess up with God and you can't mess up with the man of God. Both those things they know that you shouldn't do, which they did, right? They're coming saying, please. The interesting thing is, God hears Moses' prayer. He forgives them. He then tells Moses what to do. Go do this. And it protects the people. They just need to look at that serpent henceforth that you make. All of them will remain, they will live, whoever looks up at it, right? God always provides a way out. But you're going to say, loving Father? Loving Father, does he ever send fiery serpents? No. This story was all wrong. You read it wrong, Arlene. He didn't say fiery serpents, he must have said something else. No, he said fiery serpents. He sent them amongst the people of God. Yes, he's a merciful God, but God does not tolerate unbelief. Imagine he brings you and me so far in life, and then we tell him, Lord, you've forsaken us. You've forgotten me. I don't believe that you will be with me. I don't believe that you will remember me. He's like, hello, who you think brought you this far? It was me. I brought you through the wilderness. I took you over to the other side. Nobody else. Right? So that's one thing the Lord was reminding me of consistently. Remind my people, unbelief, I won't tolerate. Because they speak against me, against the Lord, right? David is an interesting example of a man who kept his faith. Right? He said in Psalms 38:15, something interesting. He said, for in thee, O Lord, do I hope. Thou will hear, O Lord my God. I know you will hear. I know you will answer. So what do? You and I do when we feel like we don't believe? We're reading the word but we don't believe it will happen. What should we do? We learn to rebuke our unbelief. We learn to deal with it. Remember what David said to himself? Why are you downcast, O my soul? Why so disturbed within me? Put your hope in God, for I will yet praise Him, my Savior and my Lord. Means no matter what I'm going through, come on, soul, get right, think right, act right. Come on, think of the right things. Do you ever realize why people go into depression? Deep depression? Very few of it is because of chemical imbalances. Most of them is because of the soul. If you and I don't keep our soul in track with God's word, we'll fall apart at any given moment. Anything can make us drop down. Our emotions play tricks with us. That's why I started by asking you, are you going to get up or are you going to just give up? I was reading an interesting story of a man called Lance Armstrong. Have you heard of Lance Armstrong?
Yes, bicyclist.
I also love reading about people who go the extra mile in life. I love reading victory stories. Small little ones. I read something interesting. Lance Armstrong's mother was 17 when she gave birth. His father abandoned them when he was 2 years old. And Armstrong has never seen him ever since. When reporters ask, he refers to his natural father as a DNA donor. Poor man. Lance started as a triathlete. You know what's a triathlete? The sport where competitors swim, cycle and run. I'm looking forward when I can do that. He was good in the water and fast on his feet. But cycling was his strength. And he soon decided to concentrate on cycling competitions. He won the US Amateur Cycling Championship in '91 and he turned professional the following year. That's not the end of his story. In 1996, Lance Armstrong was diagnosed with testicular cancer, which had already spread to his brain and to his lungs. Doctors told him that he had a 50-50 chance of surviving. Armstrong went through surgery, received high doses of chemotherapy and eventually, after a long period of time, recovered. His doctors told him the 50-50 line that they had told him was a lie. His actual odds of survival were next to nil. But they didn't want to get his spirits down. In '97, Armstrong began cycling all over again and established the Lance Armstrong Foundation. The foundation provides education and advocacy for cancer patients and cancer research. Despite all his odds, he overcame cancer, set out to win the Tour of France 6 consecutive years in a row.
Wow.
Wow. Something. You and I have not been through this, church. You and I are hale and whole. This man doesn't know the Lord. If he could accomplish big things, imagine how much more you and I will do with the Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
What you and I are going through at the moment is nothing, church. It's just a dark night. The morning will come. Dawn will break forth.
Amen.
Awesome things will happen.
Amen.
Times will change. Seasons are going to change. Don't give up. Don't die over it. The Lord has not forgotten us. He didn't forget sorrowful Israelites in the wilderness. He won't forget us. Imagine in their place, I don't know what we would have done. Probably something similar. You know, very often when I first became Christian, I was reading the word and I said, crazy guys. They had everything. He was feeding them also. Right? Still these guys just couldn't take a 14-day journey and get to their destination. Then very often when I was growing up in life, I realized how I was going in circles.
Till I came into your life.
Samuel's sister, he came into my life. So Samuel is a blessing in my life. But that's not the reason I was taking circles. You know, very often the Lord tells you certain things. Right? But what do? You still keep on doing the same things. Till He brings you to a point of realization that you hit rock bottom and you say, okay God, I'm going to try it your way. Right? See, life is full of joy, full of trials, full of pain. It's like one big package deal. I was reading something interesting about a lady called Mary Kay Ash. Have you read about Mary Kay Ash? Why am I telling you real life examples? Because some of you sitting here who don't know the word and don't know Jesus are going to tell me, hey listen, I don't believe in all that stuff you're talking about. Tell me real stuff. So I'm telling you real stuff. In the 1950s, Mary Kay Ash was the first woman to sit on the board of directors of the World Gift Company, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. Although she'd earned a place in the corporate world, her associates refused to take her seriously and accused her of thinking like a woman. I've been there too. Frustrated, she retired in 1963 to write a book designed to help women in business. She sat at the kitchen table and listed all the positives about companies that she worked, as well as things she thought they should change. In doing so, she created a marketing plan for her ideal company. Her accountant and her attorney discouraged her, but her husband supported her. Thank God for good husbands like mine too. He encouraged her to create a new cosmetic line and recruited and trained a full female sales force. Her motto was simple: God comes first, my family comes second, my career comes third. Anyone who messes this order up messes life. If God is not first, you're in big trouble. You are soon getting to the end of it all. When her husband died unexpectedly, she stayed on track and launched her own company. From a storefront in Dallas, USA and a $5,000 investment, Mary Kay Cosmetics earned $200,000 in the first year, quadrupled in the next year, and went public in '96. Sales were over 10 million by then. Mary Kay wrote 3 bestsellers. Her business model is taught even at Harvard. Fortune magazine named her company one of the 10 best companies in the world for women, as well as one of the 100 best companies to work for in America. When she died in 2001, she had 800,000 independent beauty consultants in 37 countries of the world with annual sales of over $2 billion. What am I trying to tell you? Hey, don't underestimate yourself. I'm telling you, you're a history maker.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Never underestimate somebody who has a vision. Don't laugh so quickly at them. Never laugh at anyone who has determination. So even if I see one really chubby man on the road jogging, I don't laugh. You know what I say? Looks funny, I know, but you know what I
He
say?
has hope.
He knows my dialogue. He's got hope. He's running and you see the other guys are never going to make it. This guy has hope, he's at least doing it. Right? So never ever give up. In the face of adversity, what we're going to do, we'll remember that we have an awesome 2012 ahead. It's not going to be deterred as to where you are today. Where you may be today is temporary. It will pass.
Amen.
As the tides come and hit the shore, it will pass. As the sun rises and the sun sets, it will pass. As winter turns to spring, it will pass. As long as Jesus is your Lord, it will pass.
Amen.
So let's do what? We're going to put fear in its place. Fear is a spirit. We learn to take authority over spirits that are not of God, that engulf our life with fear. Fear is not normal. Being afraid in a situation where you see a lion in front of you, I can understand. But living in constant fear, it's a spirit. We rebuke it. We deal with it. Remember to do what? To seek face of the Lord in prayer. What else we'll remember? We're going to look at God's perspective on life all the time, which is His Word and His Spirit. We're going to persevere and keep on persevering no matter what happens. We're going to keep on encouraging each other. Hey, we can do it. What if you were running a marathon and you were coming to the end of 25 miles and your nose is bleeding and your stomach's aching and your feet are getting weighed and you can't feel them any longer and you just want to give up? And what if I was standing on the sideline and screaming, come on, don't give up, you can do it? What do? You don't give up. You make it. We all need each other since we are in the same boat, moving to the same destination, with the same Father in charge, with the same cornerstone that holds us all together firmly. So we're not going to quit until our miracle happens either. We're going to stay firm. We're going to stand firm. We're going to see the deliverance of the Lord. You know, Habakkuk said something interesting in the book of Habakkuk, and it's not up on your screen, but I'll read it for you. Habakkuk is a very interesting book. This constant dialogue with the Lord is written down in the book of Habakkuk. Wherein he keeps saying, oh Lord, hello, did you get it right? I think you got it all wrong. You're getting this all wrong, Lord. Keeps telling the Lord throughout the book, you're getting it all wrong. Why are these evil guys prospering, Lord? Eventually, he comes to a point of time in this last chapter, 3, verse 17, where he says, though the fig tree may not blossom, nor fruit be on the vine, though the labor of the olive may fail, and the fields will yield no food, though the flock may be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord, I will joy in the God of my salvation, for the Lord God is my strength. He will make my feet like a deer's feet. He will make me walk on the high hills. I tell you the same today. Though the fig tree may not blossom, though it looks all dark, bleak and gloomy, though everything looks like it's falling apart, we feel like we are going to give up and God isn't showing through, I'm here to tell you, come on, we're just going to do something. We're going to rejoice in the Lord. We're going to remember that He's our maker, our strength, our salvation, our song, our hope in the night, and He's going to make it happen for you and make it happen for me. Do you believe that? I believe that. We're going to say, I believe, what is said in the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I kept the faith.
Amen.
At the end of the day, remember, you and I are only running a race. We consistently have the Holy Spirit backing us up. Come on, you can do it. We have each other as a church. That's why God made a body of Christ. Why did He make you and me together? So we can pray, we can back each other up, we can encourage each other, we can stand together, we can see the goodness of the Lord, we can worship together, we can see victories happen together. That's why bodies of Christ exist. Otherwise, we could have all just done it alone, but we can never do it alone, church. We all need Jesus, we all need each other. Remember, the one we worship is a faithful God. He's called the faithful one. The only one that doesn't stumble, doesn't fall, doesn't give up in adversity. He's a good God, isn't He? Suddenly remember the time when I was in labor with Judah. 48 hours and nothing was happening, apart from excruciating pain. Every woman knows what I'm talking about. They think they're going to die at that stage, right? But we don't. We make it. And I remember everyone who was coming into that room to see me was crying, including my mother, my father, my friends, except Samuel. Everybody was weeping when they were looking at me, and I wasn't weeping. I was just lying down in terrible pain, because when I'm in terrible pain, I go completely silent. You won't hear screaming, crying, nothing will happen. Right? Only my husband was calm, cool and collected, and I heard this constant reassuring voice, don't worry darling, eventually he has to come out. He'll come out, we're going to pray this through. That's how we prayed Judah through. Everything in life is about giving birth to new things.
Amen.
And the travail is the pain that we go through when we are making history.
Amen.
But remember, history will happen. Remember, things will happen. Remember, awesome changes will take place in our lives. Because our God that we worship is a faithful God.
Amen.
Let's just rise up on our feet this morning.
Yes.
Let's give God glory this morning.